All right, everyone. I've got an amazing guest here, Justin. He is just an awesome dude overall. The year I'm trying to remember the year it was, but I won the December Chub Challenge that's going on right now for Elkshape. I won the scholarship to the Elkshape camp, and then the year after that, Justin won, and we came down this last was it 20? So the camps for 2022. Justin came to the Utah camp, so we got to actually meet in person, and it came down to a shoot off between Justin and I for the vortex stuff that you ended up winning. He inched me out of it. So, you know, Justin's an awesome guy. I want Justin to be on here because I want you guys to realize that he's crushing it at life, and he's just an average Joe like you and me. He's got a job. He's got a 9 to 5. His is more like a, I don't even know your schedule, but you know, he's got a normal job. He's not in the industry, yet he is still crushing it at archery. He loves it. He's passionate about it. He's accomplished some great things. And I just wanted to share Justin's story with you guys that are listening to the podcast. But Justin, who are you, and what do you want to share with the audience?
Hey, how's it going, guys? I mean, we all try to work hard, right? So, to get to my work schedule, I work 12 to 12, so 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. basically. And we met that Elkshape camp. I think it was this past February, and it was a great time, great people, like-minded individuals. Everyone earned their keep there. So no, it was awesome. It was awesome. Finally got to meet you and a bunch of other guys. So great.
Yep, exactly. So Justin, you've got a family, you drive trucks for a living. You've got a,
Yeah.
12-hour schedule you're talking about, which I don't understand how you can do it, because I fall asleep at the wheel sometimes. If I'm driving more than 3 hours, I have to pull over and swap with my wife to drive or take a quick nap on the side of the road. I don't know how you do that, but that's awesome. So you've got a normal job, and you love archery.
Oh yeah.
And but let's talk, I guess, about Elkshape, just to kind of talk about that, because that's how we met over
Yes.
social media. I thought it was awesome that you were the next year's winner of the scholarship. So of course we started chatting. I found out you're a pretty cool dude. And but how did you win the challenge for the Elkshape scholarship?
Yeah, I think it was one of those weeks where it was, I think it was a step up challenge, like the chat 1000 or something like that he was doing. So, it was 1000 step ups for time, with a weighted pack, 40 pounds or so, and just get it done 7 days a week. So what is that? 7,000 step ups. It was rough. It was rough, when halfway through you're like, man, why am I doing this? And but it just helps with the mental fortitude and just keep pushing yourself, right? Like Goggins always says, mental callous and stuff like that. So once you get to 500, yeah, I've done 500, I can go for another 500. So but thank you, Dan, for organizing this, and all the amazing sponsors you've had, trying to participate and get people to actually get out and move, right? And so yeah, it was great. And then winning the scholarship was just a plus. I would have done it for nothing, just to see the camaraderie and everyone that gets together and actually do some work. But yeah, winning the scholarship, went to the Utah Elkshape camp, learned a lot, right? Like I said, met a ton of people, great like-minded individuals who just like you and I, we work, we have a job, we have family, and then we love hunting. So that's, like yeah, that's why we're here.
Exactly. So I just want to highlight something, though. You're kind of skipping over something real important,
Yeah.
man, because the challenge that week was to do Chad one time.
Oh, was
You
it?
did it every single day. So for those of you guys out there listening, Chad is a CrossFit workout. They've got hero workouts that they name after certain heroes. And Chad, go look up his story. Just look up the Chad CrossFit workout. But basically, it's 1,000 step ups, and it's not just stair steps. It's 20, I think 20 inches or
Yeah.
24 inches, depending on if male, female. And then it's 45 pounds on your back.
Okay.
So the challenge was to do it once and to
Oh, I
time
didn't.
yourself and to
Yeah.
post it. I guess you
Okay.
didn't recognize that it was only one time. He did it every single day, and that's why you won. That's why Dan, was like, man, he crushed it because you literally did. You did it every single day. That
Yeah.
workout's no joke.
No, it was
Even
not.
even
Yeah.
for CrossFitters, like that workout takes at least an hour. It's around, I think the best time is like 45 minutes for like top tier athletes. And I was doing it around 55 minutes. And so that's how long that workout. It's just one of those mental grind. You put your head down, you stomp through it, and
Oh yeah.
and you did it every single day that week. And that's what kind of highlighted. So that just speaks to your mental fortitude there of doing it. Sounds like you didn't realize it wasn't a daily thing. So
Hey, maybe I misread or misheard what Dan was saying, but like, hey, 1,000 step-ups every day, I guess. Let's get it. But we got it done. It's it's for the better.
Yep. Yeah, no, for real. And that's something that's really cool because you and I were brought together by Elkshape, and he does some great things. I'm not exactly sure when this podcast is going to drop, but it might be near the end of December, when the Elkshape December Chub Challenge maybe has come to an end. But it's something that I've looked forward to over the last, now it's almost, I think it's been 4 years that I've done it. He
Oh
puts a
wow.
challenge
Okay.
out. There's prizes, but also just the camaraderie that it builds, the people that you see that get out and do what the challenge is. It keeps you moving through December, and so I just think it's awesome that you put your head down and you did that every single day. I mean, that's like an hour to an hour and a half that you're out there just grinding away for 7 days a week. So that was pretty awesome and you totally deserve to win that challenge that week. So and I'm glad you did, because now we're friends, and I was able to meet you, and you came out to camp. So let's talk a little bit about that too, because you also had kind of a big change happen for you, just delving into the fitness side of things, where over that year you lost, I can't remember, remind me how much you lost as far as weight's concerned.
It wasn't a lot. It was like 25
That's a
pounds
lot
or
of weight,
so.
dude.
Oh, okay. Okay,
I'd
I guess.
consider anything over like a 5 pound shift. Like you have to put some time and dedication into your nutrition and your fitness. You got to step it up just a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
And you grinded it out. But yeah, so 25, 30-ish pounds, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot, man. It really
Thanks.
is. What do you weigh right now, if you don't mind? Or I guess when you
uh
were at the end of that weight loss.
at the end, I think I was at 170.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
I mean,
so
that was
yeah,
like 10 plus or like 15% of your body weight, dude.
yeah,
That's
basically, yeah.
significant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but recently I gained a little bit of weight. I'm at 175 now, but I think I have less body fat
Mm-hmm.
compared to when we did the scan and doing the camp and all that. So it's just putting on some muscle mass and getting some gains. So
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I love it.
yeah.
So you're staying consistent. You went through a weight loss, and then you won the December Chub Challenge, and then you came out to Elkshape Camp here in Utah. So what, I mean, with fitness, with you having that crazy schedule, and you've got, your family, your job in and of itself isn't physically demanding. I'm sure it is at times when you're hooking up the trailer and all that stuff, but when you're driving, you're sitting and more mental focus rather than
Mm-hmm.
physically demanding. So what do
Mm-hmm.
you do for your fitness for people that are similar, have similar jobs, to where maybe they're working at a desk, or maybe they are truck drivers and they're not up walking around moving constantly? Maybe what are some things that you do to keep yourself on track?
Well, it's just you have to make up your mind and make that commitment to want to get in shape, right? So be working 12 to 12. I get, we'll run through my day, right? So I start work at 12 in the afternoon. I get off at 12. I cheat by eating my dinner that late. I go to bed. It's not good, but we got to do what we got to do. So I have a warm dinner. I get up at 7 in the morning, 7:30. I see my kids off to school, and then I hit the gym after. I spend like an hour and a half in there. I have a workout app that I follow. That has a really good parameters for like whatever types of workout I want to do, whether you're in interval training or just some cardio work, stuff like that. So that kind of makes it a little easier for me. It helps me out that way, that I have to think about, okay, what am I doing today? half the time it's always leg day, or if not all the time, right? So
That's not bad.
every workout has a little bit of legs involved. So yeah, with hour and a half in the gym, and go home, get some breakfast, and go to work. Kiss the wife goodbye and go to work. So it 5 days a week. It's the same repetitive routine, but that gets me going. So
That's awesome. Yeah. So you just put your mind to it and you make
yeah.
the time for it. Cause there's a lot of people that, you can wish away your time or say whatever you want about how the time isn't, you don't have enough time. There's plenty of people that can say that. Right. And I see where people are coming from with that, but at the same time, it's about more about priorities and where are your priorities at. If you're not wanting to get fit, just be honest with yourself and say, look, I'm okay being fat,
Mm-hmm.
and there's
Yeah.
nothing like I don't judge people for the way they look, but what I do judge is when you're lying to yourself or you're lying to me. And I'm like, that's, if you really want it, go after it. You're proof of that. I've done it. Many people out there have done it. Goggins is a great example of that. For people that don't know David Goggins, go look up his story. There's so many people that are proof of it. But again, they shifted their priorities. And just like you made it a priority. You make time for that every single day. You could say, I want to sleep in. I want to
Oh yeah.
spend more time with the family, that hour to an hour and a half. I want to go spend the time with the family. Again, nothing wrong with that, but don't lie to yourself and say you want to get in shape when you don't, you know? And so I think that's key for a lot of people, making that time. You make that time. You also mentioned this morning, you did something that I've never done. I've never run 13 point whatever the half marathon
Mm-hmm.
amount is. But you got up this morning, you got home at midnight, you followed your normal schedule, but you had to get up at 4:45, 5 o'clock this morning to make sure you were able to get all your errands done today. And you graciously give me an hour of your time here to be on the
No.
podcast.
Yeah.
And yet you knew you had all this stuff going on, and you said, you know what, I'm going to still go get that 13 miles in. 13 plus. I'm going to say 13 plus because I don't want to jip you
That's
any of the mileage, but
at
you went out
13
and
is fine.
and you
Yeah.
made that happen, right? And
Yep.
so that's something
Yep.
that you have made the time for. And that's super important for people to understand. Don't say you don't have time for things. You do. It's just, where are your priorities at, right?
Yeah, you kind of have to with three kids and a wife that also goes to the gym with me every day. We have to have our days lined up. If not, we you just can't. There's not enough time in a day for me to do what I want to do. So in order for me to do what I want to do and for my wife to be able to do what she wants to do, sleep is one thing that we kind of sacrifice. Is it a good thing? Who knows? But we need to get stuff done. So that's the path we chose, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you know, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So like that. No, you're saying your wife goes to the gym with you. So that's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. That's definitely something that's important. For sure, making that time to spend together and also pursuing similar goals. You both want to be in shape, both want to be fit, and you want to have an elongated life so you can spend that time together. That's amazing. I think that's really awesome. So I guess what lit the fire under your butt to get you moving and to lose the weight and to up your training and your nutrition?
Um. Well, I think I would say archery, right? I got into archery maybe 2 years ago. I think it was around yeah, almost exactly 2 years ago. So December 2020, right? Yeah, December 2020. I got into archery, and then I stumbled across Elkshape's page on Instagram, and I was like, man, he was already like halfway through the Chub challenge. I'm like, oh, I think it was Cam Hanes week as well. So I was like, man, I should try this out, right? But long story short, I wasn't ready. My mindset wasn't there. So, and then 6 months down the road, 7 months down the road, after shooting my bow and whatnot, I I forgot how I actually was just talking to my friend about this morning. I don't remember how I started my, I guess, my fitness journey, right? But I knew in August of 2021, last August, I came across 75 hard, right? And I think a bunch of us, have heard of 75 hard. If not, you can look it up and whatnot. So I did all that. I did 75 hard, and I think one of the parameters was to read maybe 10 minutes a day or something like that.
Yep.
And that's when I was looking at books and I found Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. So I was going through his book, and I was like, man, it lit a fire under me that I didn't know I had. Right. So, and long story short, a year and a half later, here we are. And yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny to me to see how archery, 75 hard, and Elkshape have all kind of come together for so many people, and in being a part of the First Form Outdoors community as well, like seeing how all of those things have kind of combined because they're all of a similar mindset. It's all
Mhm.
about becoming better consistently. Like you were saying, it's reading 10 pages a day out of a physical book. Some people may call them self-help books, but basically it's a nonfiction book that will help you towards your goals, whether that's financial goals, whether that's, like Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I've got bookshelves over there. Most of those books over there are from the last couple of years of me doing the Live Hard program, which people here listening on the podcast have heard me talk about quite a bit. And I'll be starting phase 3 of my, is a second or third year doing
Oh,
Live Hard. I'll
nice.
be starting that in like 3 days. So
Okay.
it's a great program for people that are wanting to get better, just like you did. So you kicked off with 75 hard, and then your mindset shifted. So December Chub Challenge came around, and you were like, I'm ready this year. And you crushed
There
it.
you
You
go.
knocked it out of
Yep.
the park, right? I mean,
Yep.
there's thousands of people that are doing it. And to be highlighted, to be able to win that scholarship, to be able to go to one of the camps, which for me is one of the bigger prizes that Dan gives away. I mean, that's
Mhm.
about $1,000 deal, depending on when you buy the camp.
Oh, yeah.
And for, to be able to get that wealth of knowledge from everyone that shows up to the camps, from the experts to other hunters in your area, the networking that happens there, the people you meet, the camp is just outstanding. So, for all those reasons, that's awesome. So about August 2021, you kind of
Hmm.
kicked off your 75 hard and your fitness journey, and you've just kept it consistent. I mean, it's been a year and almost a year and a half, and you're consistent. You're packing on muscle, you're keeping the body fat low, and you're hitting your goals. And again, you don't have a job that's very physically demanding. So you're doing it because, I guess, why are you continuing to do it?
I'm sorry, say that again. You got
What?
cut off for a
No, you're
second.
good. Why are you continuing to, I guess, continue down this path of fitness?
Oh, uh, I don't know. It's in a way, it's kind of like an addiction, right? Um, motivation can only get you so far. I feel like motivation maybe gets you 30 days at the gym at tops. And then it's the addiction that makes you want to keep going, and the chase of that delayed gratification, that delayed dopamine release after a workout, stuff like that. And also with 3 kids, I have 3 girls, so I want to show them that I can work 12 hours a day and we can still get a workout, and you can work hard and still achieve great things in life, and still make time for family, and squeeze out time for hunting and stuff like that, right? So that's I think that's what keeps me going, you know
Yeah, no,
and
I like that.
I think and going through driving and being on the road for like 10, 11 hours every day, you listen to a lot of podcasts too, and Dan's podcast is something I geared towards to. And I don't remember what guest he had on, and I don't know if it's Nick the Trainer dude, or it was a different an elk-shaped camper that was on his podcast, and they were saying about logging in 300 workouts a year, I'm like, I want to do that. That's probably one of the reasons why I'm hitting the gym every day. Stuff like that. But yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's a really good goal. And again, things click with different people, and that's why I like to ask that question as to why you keep going. Because and I don't think I've heard anyone say that up to this point, that addiction, which is something that I feel. I agree with you 100% that motivation is temporary. And I've discussed that quite a bit because I post a quote every day on Instagram, or Sundays I post a scripture, not necessarily for the people that have been that are disciplined and are going consistently as it is. It's for that one person that hopefully one day will open up that story, and that's the fire that gets lit under their butt to get up and move, right? And so motivation again is very temporary. Discipline, like what you were saying, that addiction of the delayed gratification, the success that you've had, that you have found through your hard work, and that you want to continue to pursue that. Also, children are great reason to keep going. You want your children to see that you're working hard for the family, to provide for the family, and you take time for yourself. That's really, really key, so that your kids don't grow up thinking they have to give to everything else, and then in turn give everything to their family and be drained. Because if you don't fill up your own batteries, if you don't recharge, if you don't take the time to take care of yourself, you can only give so much, and you can't be yourself, right? So that's awesome. Were you going to say something?
Oh no, it's like, yeah, you only have so much you could withdraw, right? Just like time with your family. Yeah, going out hunting, depends on who you are. You hunt for a week out of the year, 2 weeks, or maybe a month, the whole month of elk season, that's a goal. You're withdrawing the time from your family. So, in time you have to deposit time back, right? So that's the only way to that's the only way to do it, to keep everyone happy, right? Especially
Exactly.
happy wife, happy life, right?
Exactly. And that open communication, because they need to understand that they're not always going to get you, right? They need to understand that you've got things that you're pursuing as well, just as you encourage your children to go and pursue their passions, to be the best artist that they can, to be a NASA scientist, to be whatever it may be. You're encouraging them to do that. But there's some reel and audio that's going around that I really like, that it's like, well, sometime your basically your kids are going to call you out. They're going to say, well, Dad, you said I can be anything, why aren't you? And that hit home to me, and I'm already pursuing things that I'm wanting to do. But for me, it keeps me going, because if I were to sit back and just complain about, man, I had to deal with this customer or that, with my job, and not actually get out and do the things that I need to do, or if you were to come home and sleep in and kind of mosey your way out of the house in the morning and kind of half-ass it at life, basically, but you're telling your kids, hey, I want you to be the best that you can be, they're going to one day grow up and be like, but Dad, why aren't you?
Yeah.
And that hits home to me, because I want them to see that from me, so that they have at least one, if not multiple examples, that you can go out and pursue what you want to pursue and be the best at it and be successful at it. So that's awesome. I love that. I appreciate you sharing that, man.
Right. Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, it's always it's a balance, right? That we have to find, and you have to balance between your responsibilities and seeking out your ambition, and then taking care of family and stuff like that. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. So you picked up archery in 2020.
Yeah.
Let's kind of dive down that rabbit hole, because archery is such a big thing in both of our lives, and you shoot basically every day. Just like me, you take a couple moments of your day and you make sure you get some reps in, whether it's cold, hot, whatever. You're out there shooting 3D. You've got a good 3D course out there near you in Nevada. I guess what is so appealing about archery? Why aren't you out there shooting guns, on a frequent basis? Or because I know you enjoy guns just as much as I do. We've talked about that as well, but it's kind of taken to the back burner with archery being up front. why archery? What draws you to it?
Well, I did got into guns for quite some time. I actually did competition pistol shooting, and that was great and all, but ultimately hunting is what I want to do, right? So yeah, we rifle hunt, haven't really tried muzzleloader hunting, but I heard it's fun. But rifle hunting. So being out west, right? Everyone talks about tags. Like, how can we get more tags in our pocket? And archery, be it as hard as it can be, it does gives you a higher opportunity to get tags, right? So higher opportunity to get tags means more time outside in the woods. So that's basically one of the main reasons why I got into archery. And I used to play a lot of golf too. I played high school golf and stuff like that. And it's funny. To me, it felt like firearms and golf kind of, for some reason, the way it came together in my life, it felt like in archery I could do both. Yeah, it just I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like it to me. So, but yeah, more tags in the pocket.
There you go. Nice. And then, I mean, but so you say more tags in the pocket, and I agree with you on that. Like for me, I've still got a couple days left of our elk season. I'm able to chase elk all the way from before the rut until through the middle of December every year with the extended archery. And so it provides those more opportunities, more tags, more time, etc. But all that being said, I mean, your season's over. Why are you still shooting?
Oh, you gotta stay sharp.
Right. But
Yes.
there's a lot of people out there that will put their bow away. They're like, okay, season's over. They put the bow away and they go back to their normal routine. Whereas for
Yeah.
like you and me, archery has become the normal routine. We shoot and shoot and shoot. Again, to stay sharp, yeah, but there's got to be more to it than that. You're not just wanting to just stay sharp. You could more than likely pull it out around tax season and practice up until hunting season and be good enough to go out there and plug a deer or an elk or both. But why do you shoot every day, even when it's cold?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do, put that away and then pursue something else and whatnot. But I don't know. It's I really I don't know how to explain this. It felt zen to me, and you draw your bow back and you get to anchor, right? And just staring down the peep and your sights, and it just, it's like executing a perfect golf shot. I don't know if you've played golf or not. Everything feels good. The when you pull through the release and the arrow hitting where you're aiming at, it just it's addictive
Mm-hmm.
to say the
No,
least.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, I agree. So for me, I've never played golf, and I actually I mess around because my stepdad loves golf, and I'm like, why don't you do a real man sport and go do some long range shooting? But I get it that that's something that people are passionate about, right? And for me, it would be, I guess, more of like the comparison of baseball, right? When you have those moments, because there's a lot of noise and stuff. I never played at a high level, but I
Yeah.
played in high school, and there's a lot of noise in the crowd in the game. People are blah 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 talking. But that moment when everything just lines up, when you read the pitch, you watch the ball, it's almost like in slow-mo, and it comes in, it just hits that perfect meat of the bat where you can just feel, that ball is sailing, right?
Yeah.
And that's I imagine golfing is similar. When you hit that perfect drive, you just hit it right in the sweet spot of the driver, and that ball is just gone, right?
Hmm.
It's going where you want. You're not pulling it left or right. And so with archery, I agree with you 100%. There's something about when you get to full draw and you're anchored in right, and you just have the right setup. Your stabilizers are good. Your sight is good. It just feels good. And it's almost like horse blinders for your ears. Everything just shuts off
Hmm.
except for you, the bow, and the target. And I love that.
Oh
So I'm
yeah.
glad you brought that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So archery became a thing for you. How I mean, have your kids, sorry, how old are your kids?
I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. Yep.
Perfect. Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
guys
still
plan
young.
that perfectly 2 years
No,
apart?
no, none of them were planned.
Oh, just happened to work out. You don't
This
have any
happened. Yeah.
September birthdays though, do you?
I do actually. I do. Yeah, I know. I
It
wasn't in the
happened
hunting.
before you were an archer, so that's
Yeah,
okay.
it happened before, but at least it's an early September. And
Okay.
it's that's my oldest.
Yeah.
She has a birthday in early September, yeah, actually she loves shooting, so she's gone through a couple bows. I bought her different bows to try out and see what she likes. You always start off with like a kid's recurve, maybe a bear bow, and then I bought her a I think a kid's recurve bow, it's a little long for her because she's short. And then I finally actually got her a PSC a kid's compound bow, and
Nice.
she's shooting it lights out, so being an early September birthday, and she likes shooting, it's a perfect gift, a birthday gift for her every year to go
Hmm.
hunting with me, right? So
There you
we'll
go.
spend her birthday up in the mountains. She loves the outdoors. She loves eating elk meat, deer meat, and stuff like that. So as long as they love eating it, they'll find a way to 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 go out to the mountains with you, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So you got her involved with shooting, and was it her showing interest first? Did you get her the bow, and then the interest grew? How did you work that in with your oldest?
It's she's been curious, right? She's been curious. She would see me in the backyard, flinging arrows around, and like, what's daddy doing? I'm like, you know what? We'll get her bow and try it out. It's you won't know what they like until they try it out, right? So, you have to introduce it to them, right? That's what I did. I introduced it to them, and you just make it fun, right? You know I'll hang like little balloons up on the target, and then have her hit that, and then it's like a like a sensory thing for them, right? So they're like, oh great, I hit the target, I hit the bullseye, dad. So and then yeah, that's how you make it fun, then they'll love it.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. So you didn't force it on her, which is
Oh
great.
no, yeah.
I love hearing that, because a lot of people are like, man, I need to get my kids into this and that. I'm like, well, what if they don't want to? Like, what's your plan then? So
Mhm.
I love that you let her question and ask, and then you encourage that by going and getting her own bow and pursuing that even more. So that's great. Those are some great tips for parents out there that are into archery, or even if you are into guns and rifles and all that stuff too. Same thing. Introduce the kids to it safely, right? And then as they don't go out there and maybe with a rifle, don't go out there and make them shoot a 300 Winchester,
Yeah,
Magnum their first time, blow their shoulder off. But introduce them with a little 22, just like you did with the bow. Introduce her with a little smaller bow, not too hard to pull back. Love the idea of the balloons, something that they can pop, that they can see, they have that interaction, and then keep moving forward from there. So that's great. Those are great tips.
yeah. We just did that with I have a Ruger 1022 that we took her out for shooting with it as well. We'll either
Hmm.
put balloon, like a water balloon out there, and then or those clay pigeons, we'll get them taped up to a target, and then she actually, if anything, she loves shooting the gun more than her bow as
Hmm.
of recently. So, but it's all about getting them outside, right? Instead
Exactly.
of instead of being stuck at home, and everyone's with iPad and tablets these days, right? YouTube,
Hmm.
and Netflix and whatnot. It's very easy to lose sight of the outdoors and being active, and stuff like
Agreed.
that. So
Yep, I agree with that. That's definitely it's not easy and nowadays to get them away from the screens necessarily, because all their friends are doing it, and that's the cool thing to have. But it's awesome that you get your children involved, and you encourage those different, you're giving them options basically. You're
yeah,
providing opportunities for them to choose. It's not just you're pigeonholed into this one thing. And it could be that maybe, hopefully this doesn't happen, but maybe your children don't want to hunt, but they love shooting archery. So then you start shifting more towards the target archery and
Yeah,
things like
nothing wrong
that.
with
So
that. Yeah.
exactly. So that's awesome. I love it. Um, so how do you find a way to balance, and I guess balance isn't the right word, but tip the scales to when it's family time, spend that time and be focused on your family. And then when it's time to go hunting, you've put those deposits in, just like Dan talks about. And I love the idea of tipping the scales rather than having that work life balance, because when the scale's balanced, it's sitting at zero, and you might be okay, but you're never going to really progress in any area of your life. So, um, tipping the scales when it's time for family, how do you find that, I guess, the way to unplug from everything else and focus on your family? What are some ways that you do that?
We'll go out on yearly family vacations, right? Or we'll take them out like earlier, like this summer we went to Disneyland, right? I even took them to TAC with me, and they got to see Utah. They love it out there, right? You just you just gotta, I guess, like what I was saying earlier, like my life is basically planned out day by day on a tight schedule basis, right? So even on the weekends where it's family time, we have schedules like, okay, 12 to 2 we're out having lunch, grocery shopping and whatnot, and then and we'll maybe come home in the evening, and we'll have a family game night. They love playing board games, and you just got to find ways to keep it interesting, right? Yeah, that's basically it. And I'm actually very fortunate that the wife lets me hunt, so so it makes it a little easier that way too.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
exactly. Will she eat the meat as well? Elk and deer?
if I cook it in a certain way, she'll eat
Yeah.
it in a chili form. If
Mm.
I have ground venison and put in a chili, she loves that. Or like a country fried venison with
Mhm.
with the gravy, she'll eat that. But both, but all my daughters, they will eat them in this regular steaks, salt and pepper seasoning, and we're medium rare, we're good to
That's
go.
awesome. That's awesome.
So, but yeah, they all love eating it. So it's been a blessing in a way where they're like, oh, okay, daddy got more meat home. So
That's awesome. That's really cool. And with your family, seeing you and your wife, I guess your children seeing you and your wife go to the gym, do you guys all eat the same pretty much as far as meals are concerned, or do you and your wife cook something separate and then give your children something different?
we tend to, being Asian and all that, we have a lot of like family style meals, where it's kind of like Thanksgiving every night. Right? So, but no, they do eat something different to change it up. Kids being kids, there's only so much clean eating they could do. But nutrition wise, honestly, I'm not really dialed in. But we eat clean, it's a home cooked meal 6 out of 7 days a week. We hardly eat out, and with 3 kids and five mouths to feed, right? It's so much. It's more, cost savings to actually cook and buy in bulk and cook in bulk and stuff like that. So my wife, she's a great cook, so she'll whip something up for the whole week or a couple
Mhm.
of days, and stuff like that. But yeah, so a lot of home cooked meals.
That's
you know
awesome. Yeah. And you say you're not dialed with nutrition, but you're doing what you need for the goals that you have, right? You're not trying to step on stage and be a bodybuilder at 2%
yeah.
body fat, and so that's kind of another thing that I highlight a lot is that, again, you are a normal guy like me, right? You're not trying to portray something that's not you. You have your own personal goals and you've accomplished some great things. but your goals aren't necessarily, again, to be a bodybuilder. So you don't need to eat like rabbit food basically all the time, salads and chicken and rice and broccoli. Like that's
Yeah.
not what you need to do. And so when I hear you say you're not necessarily dialed, I'd say you're dialed for your goals, man. You're not dialed for, again, trying to get down to 2% body fat, but you're dialed for what you need to do, which from everything that you've said is you want to be a better hunter. You want to be fit enough to get out there in the mountains, chase big animals. You want to have a long life, right? As long as you can make it, spend time with your loved ones, be able to play with your kids and pursue your hobbies in the outdoors. I'd say you're pretty dialed in your nutrition if you've been able to maintain that weight within 5 pounds. I mean, that could be fluctuating with freaking body water,
Yeah.
And so that's awesome that you've been able to maintain that for a year, almost a year and a half. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. That's something that not a lot of people can say they're consistent on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we tend to cook like a balanced meal. You have your carbs, you have your protein, you have your greens, and basically every meal is like that, right? So it you don't have to weigh out your food, and I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, right? To meal prep and have it ready to go for the week, for people who's busier than we are, but she being my wife being a stay-at-home mom, she has the time to cook a fresh meal every day or every other day, right? So as long as we have our carbs, we need our rice.
Yep.
We need our rice. We have our veggies, and we have our meats. So that's basically all the nutrition you need, right? I mean, it's nothing too complicated about it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Cause again, I want people to recognize that you don't have to go all out and crazy with your diet. You don't have to pick keto. You don't have to pick all these other things that are going to get crazy here in the next couple weeks as we wrap up 2022 and get into 2023. You're going to see all the fad diets come back around. And that's just kind of how it works. It's a cycle every single year. The gym memberships are going to go up. The fad diets are going to go all over the place. And to be consistent, you need to be able to keep it simple, which sounds like you guys have on under wraps, and keep it sustainable,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that you seem to be doing really well. The only reason I recommend people to start weighing stuff out at the beginning of their journeys is because you're gonna not, I mean, you don't know how to I guess weigh things out in your mind or see what a good portion size is.
That makes
if
sense.
you're if you're way overweight, your portion size is going to be a lot bigger than where it needs to be. So that's why, that it's important. But I agree with you 100%. You get to the spot where you figured out what is maintenance for you and your goals, and you don't have to weigh that stuff out anymore. That's kind of the end goal. You're happy with where you're at, and you're even making progress. You're packing on muscle, and you know what your maintenance is at, and you're
Mm-hmm.
keeping that consistent. And so that's super key for most people. Dan will say the same thing. He doesn't weigh out his food. He doesn't do stuff like that because he knows what works for his body. He's been doing it for probably decades at this point,
Yeah.
and he knows what to do. So that's really all that it boils down to, and that's kind of the end goal. You don't have to always be weighing out your food, So I agree with you on that 100%. I'm just trying to think here. So, I mean, we've talked about your family. We've talked about the amazing things you've done. I think it's fantastic that you have maintained and are hitting your goals consistently. How was hunting season this year?
Oh, hunting was great. Can never get enough of it. Right. So I was fortunate enough to pull a Nevada doe tag, you know, and then I went out and got a Utah spike or cow elk tag, so now it was great. It was my first elk hunt that I've ever been on, right? Ever since went to Elkshape camp, learned a ton, there's all these information out there. There's a lot of free information out there with podcasts, archery gear with with all the YouTube videos and whatnot, right? So learned a lot. Went to an elk hunt in September, And I was fortunate enough to arrow a cow elk, and it was great. It was great. Yeah. And then my deer hunt was like, I think it was doe tag. So it was the tag was valid basically the entire of October. Right. And I went out on the last week of October because that's the only time I could take off from work. Spent a week out there and in northern Nevada, beautiful country, beautiful country. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to it was actually a rifle hunt. So yeah, I got to harvest a doe deer. Yep.
That's
It was
awesome.
great. A
That's
lot a
really
lot
good.
of meat this season.
Yeah, no, for sure. And
Yeah.
then with that elk, I mean, you had a great shot. I mean, you literally hard shot the elk, right?
Yeah. It
I
was
saw the little
it was double
triangle of the
long,
heart. Yep.
yeah, double long and hard. It was amazing. It was I was on full draw for it. It felt like 5 minutes, but probably 30 seconds. And yeah, she came into about 30 yards and yeah, let it rip.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So you were out there. How many days did it take you to get an elk down?
Um, I had a buddy actually that I met in Elkshape camp, Nick. He actually lives in Panguitch, and yeah, he was nice enough to show me around, like that unit and whatnot. And so being I was hunting Panguitch, and it's only about 3 hours away from Vegas, where I'm at.
Mhm.
I was actually making the trip out every weekend after work, so I was able to save my vacation time, and actually leave after work on Friday night. We'll take the drive up there to Panguitch, and have a early Saturday hunt, and then we'll hunt all the way through Sunday, and then I'll make the drive back and go back to work on Monday. It was taxing. I
Mhm.
did that for the entire month of September. But yeah, it was taxing. So yeah, so Nick showed me around, and I think it was during the second week of the hunt, which is I think the last weekend of August, was when I actually arrowed the cow elk. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And for those of you out there listening, Penguich is a terrible unit. Don't ever apply for it. Uh, don't
No,
look it
I
up.
mean, yeah,
It's
that it no, there was a lot of people out there.
Mhm.
It was a lot of people out there, and you have to find little pockets of where you think the elk might be at, right? And just make a play, and I was fortunate enough that it happened.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I
Yeah, I
didn't
probably
realize that
shouldn't have
that's
set the unit, huh?
yeah. I
But it's
didn't
it's 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 out there.
yeah.
So
No, yeah.
it's
No, for
public
sure.
information.
It's
With
yeah, no, I'm just messing with you, man. Yeah, it's terrible. Don't ever come to Utah to hunt. We don't have any good elk. Don't ever come here for
yeah,
deer.
I think
Don't
there I think there's a lot of elk in Louisiana. I think that's
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
limit.
yeah. Go
Yeah.
to go up to North Carolina,
There you go.
No, but that's amazing. And that's really cool that you're able to knock it down, your first ever elk tag with a bow. I think that's amazing. And yeah, you definitely brought some meat home with the cow and then the doe. So that's really good. That's really cool, man. Well, good. Well, do you have anything that you want to leave, I guess, with the listeners, with people out there, that maybe we haven't covered?
No, I mean, I think we gone through quite some stuff, right? But one thing I would say is which rings true for me, is to actually find a balance, right? It's always a balance of time, of your financial goals, and even when you're shooting your archery, right? Shooting your bow, your bow has to be balanced properly. If not, you're not gonna hit your mark, right? So just find a balance, and you can work with that.
Exactly. No, I'll second that by saying definitely need to, as we're wrapping up the year here, make sure that you are checking your goals, what you're wanting to do in the next quarter, what you're wanting to accomplish over the next year, and make sure that your actions line up with those goals. Finding that, like what you're saying, that balance, tipping the scales in the direction that you're wanting to go, because you can't do everything. We wish we could. I always joke about saying, if we could have a 32-hour day, that would be really nice. But in all reality, I'd still find, I still wouldn't get any more sleep because I would just do more stuff in that time,
Oh yeah.
so it is about using as efficiently as possible the time that you have, and in accordance with the goals that you've got. So if you've got a spouse, make sure you're open and communicative with her or him, and also, just showing the people around you where your priorities are at, and you'll make it happen. It may not seem like a lot, if you take those baby steps every day, but you look back a year from now, and I bet you couldn't have imagined that you would have arrowed your first elk on your first elk trip. And,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I
So,
mean, looking a year, 2 years ago, I mean, would I ever thought to run a half a marathon today? I'm like, no, no, I'll pass, but we're here. We're here
exactly.
today.
Yeah.
So
So look for him in the next ultra marathon guy. No, kidding.
right. I wish. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, thank you again for hopping on here, Justin. I know you and I chat pretty often, but I just wanted to share your story with other people, because I have some kind of bigger names in the industry on the podcast, but I also want to bring it back to the roots. And the reason why I started Redbeard Outdoors was for people like you and me that have families. We've got 9-to-5s, but we're pursuing passions in the outdoors, and hearing from you how you make it happen, so other people can realize, like, instead of saying that must be nice to the people that are in the industry, people like you and me that are making it happen because we're putting our priorities where we want them to be. I think people can definitely learn from you and see what you've accomplished and how you continue to be consistently successful in the things that you're pursuing, whether that be your career, whether that be hunting, archery with your family. You're consistently successful, and it's because of your work ethic. So thanks again for your time being on here, guys. I'm going to leave the links down below for you guys to go check out Justin's social media and see what he's doing, and see him run another half marathon, and eventually building up to where he's chasing Goggins down. And
he's actually in Vegas,
Oh, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
But I'll leave the links down below, guys, for you to check him out. And like I always say, guys, get out, live your life, and love it.